Good evening. How are you doing today?
We're all good. I think we're all good, hopefully. As good as we can be.
Yeah, I know it was kind of a cluster there for a few seconds. We were
Yeah.
over on Clapper, we were on various platforms, just trying to see what works the best. And
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be people starting to really build up steam here shortly. So, welcome. I think this is the
Yeah,
very
man.
first time that you have ever been live with me on Patriot News
On
Network.
Patriot News, yeah. We're usually on my Clapper page.
Yeah, and it's been one of those things. Recently, I don't get too post happy with Patriot News Network on Facebook as much anymore because I have a busy life and Clapper has worked, and I really do like the live radio to where we can actually
Mm-hmm.
have conversations with the audience and the different
Right.
people that show up. But I know we have a whole lot of stuff to talk about, and we're really starting to chomp at the bits to get that stuff talked about. So we have right now, just on Facebook alone, we have 18 people. We have somebody over on Twitch and nobody on
Heck
YouTube.
yeah.
And
There we go.
it looks like Mickey is posting as myself
Heck
on
yeah.
Facebook. So,
There she is.
hello, Angela. We see you.
Angela,
And
what's
that's
going
another
on,
thing
my friend?
that's another thing that I really like about moving over to StreamYard and being able to do it on YouTube, being able to do it on Twitch, is we actually have the ability to pull all of those comments and everything and throw them up on the screen, so people actually
Mm-hmm.
know what we're talking about from various platforms. So,
Right.
but you're the criminal element, and we're going to talk a lot tonight about criminal activity.
Crimes. See, and this is why I chose the name. Initially, I wanted to be like just strictly true crime, and I realized that there was this whole niche of political talk creators on TikTok. And that's when I was like, oh my God, this is what I've always wanted to do. Oh, let's do it. So it's been 2 years. I think I've gone through two different accounts. I've been one of the lucky ones, only two accounts that the first one just got banned with no warning, and then this one has been on account warning for like ever, and it's only my second. But I chose the name Criminal Element because I wanted to be true crime. And with the amount of true crime that happens in our politics nowadays, it just kind of worked out.
Yeah, and that's something that we're gonna dive into now because I mean, with the
Cool.
Biden documents going on, with all the stuff going on politically, it's stuff that has to be talked about. And
Exactly.
you and I were on the phone earlier today, and we were discussing how the FBI supposedly wasn't involved until the raid on Joe Biden's house or the investigation
Right.
at Joe Biden's house, and they were invited there. Fox News and various news outlets today, along with people that I communicate with directly, were saying, hey, this has been going on. The FBI has been involved. They were involved before the lawyers were involved at the Penn Biden Center. Well,
Exactly.
why would the attorneys have been there? And maybe you can answer. I mean, this is kind of your wheelhouse. Paying attention to the true
I mean,
crime
I'm
thing.
not a lawyer. I couldn't tell you why the attorneys were there, but it doesn't make sense to me as a critical thinker to be looking at this whole situation, and now we're finding out that the FBI has been involved, and they claim that the first set of documents was found November 3rd, right? But that would mean that the FBI would have been had a warrant to search sometime in October, right? But they're claiming that the FBI has been involved since mid-November.
Yeah, that's
So it's none of it's making sense to me.
well, so Dan Bongino actually brought out a good point the other day. So, have you heard the term K-fake?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we know wrestling is fake, but we suspend our belief just to enjoy it. Well, they're asking you to suspend all of your critical thinking to believe that they were just somehow magically allowed to be there.
Of course. Of course. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. And we can sit here all day and keep pointing out the double standards. Like, I love pointing out double standards. Don't get me wrong.
There's no double standard, though. That's the thing.
But there is when they're not being truthful about the situation.
That's hierarchy.
And the exact same thing happens with Trump. The exact same thing has been happening with Trump. I understand it's hierarchy, but it's still a fucking double standard.
I know, but for them, we are nobodies. So they can do what they want, and you can't. If we were to speak out against the government, we would have our houses raided. We would be under lock and key, sitting in a federal jail. No presumption of trial ever coming. But they're the government. They write the checks. As much as the American people believe that we the people, no, they write their Congress writes the checks for the people and the federal government.
Yeah.
And it's through our tax money that they say that we're writing the checks, but we're not. The tax revenue coming in to the federal government versus what's going out by the federal government is only 1/3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a huge discrepancy.
Well,
but,
yeah. And then when you look at so how do I want to word this? When you look at, because think about it, when did Comer and Jordan announce their investigation into Biden? It was like midsummer, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was mid-July.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's absolutely no way in my mind that this isn't playing out exactly as planned. I have a feeling that this has all been planned, right? And of course, there's no proof, but come on, 1,800 boxes.
1,800.
And how long have they been there?
Well, so the 1,800 are just from his time as a senator.
Right. But,
and so, according to sources inside the FBI and who are the ones going through and reviewing these documents, they say that most of these documents are classified TSSCI. There's 2 documents, and this is what the media wants to say that Trump did. So we're gonna pull the wool back a little bit, but TSSCI documents sounds really, really serious. That's not even the highest level of classification.
No.
So TSSCI is the highest general public classification, but there's one classification set over that, and that is code name. So if you are read in, you know what the project code name is, everything. You know the details that you're supposed to know, and that's it. Which is why it's considered a special. It's considered a special access program. So so it's TSSCI SAP. If you don't know the pertinent details and you're not read in and your name is not on those documents saying that you've been read in, you do not have the access to those documents. That includes everybody from the vice president on down.
Right.
So when we're talking about classified documents, Joe Biden has one document that is TSSCI SAP, which is the highest level of classification. That is that code name. So Trump, out of the 365 documents that he allegedly had that were supposedly classified, of which over 15 of them were just binders with nothing in them.
Mm-hmm. Empty folders.
That were bearing the classified markings. Anytime there's a folder that doesn't have anything in it, it's supposed to be destroyed. But anything bearing those markings should have never been packed to begin with, unless they were truly declassified, and then they were supposed to be marked declassified. So, is the liberal media somewhat correct? Yes. Is the conservative media somewhat correct? Yes. The broad question is, where did he actually write the order that those documents were declassified? Because if it's not
a written the liberal order, media is claiming it never happened. The liberal media is claiming it never happened. And so, like, when I bring this up on, say, like TikTok or somewhere, I get all sorts of comments with there's absolutely no evidence that he declassified anything and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and why would they tell us that anyways?
Like, well, if there was a written order, it would have been under an executive order to declassify.
Mm-hmm.
If you can find that, the whole Trump documents thing goes away. But here's the thing.
I'm going to do some digging. I doubt
look at the executive orders that Biden did right after he went into office.
What was it, 34 that he signed on day one?
Orders. He can undo executive orders of a prior president. If there's an order to declassify, it can be reclassified by removing that executive order.
So, and that's the thing too that they keep claiming is that's what he did, as he reclassified the documents. Right, that was one of the stories that came out too.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then it sets a serious precedent, which would then be a court battle between two administrations. Because it's never been done where an incoming administration reclassified stuff that the outgoing administration just declassified. It's never been done. And under federal law, it's not supposed to be able to happen. But because nobody pays attention to executive orders, it could have been done that way. And Trump, under the current law, Trump could be considered culpable for those documents if that is factually true, that they literally reneged the declass. Because in order for you to, so let's say you are the president. In order for your executive order to stand after the administration was out. For a D class, it would have to go 21 days. And this order was signed within the last Ford.
Wow.
So there's a lot of I I can argue both sides because I know the arguments on both sides, but a lot of people
Right.
want to really get into the weeds and say, well, Trump did this. Well, none of Trump's documents were TS. None of Trump's documents, to our knowledge, and if there were TSS, SCI, SAP documents, if there were, we would have known about it. Nuclear secrets,
Exactly.
TS, SCI, SAP. That's why it was a big freaking deal when Hillary Clinton went out on national television and said that our nuclear stand down time was 40 seconds. It's a
Hmm.
big freaking deal because guess what? That classification, she was right on in on that whole program as being number 4 in the chain of command when it comes to launching those codes. If the number 3 didn't agree, it was up to her. If she didn't agree, then the next person and the next person, next person. But she was read in on those procedures. I had
Well,
TSSCI
she's just
SAP
proven herself to
access.
be a liar.
What's
Yeah.
that?
She's just proven herself to be a liar anyways. I mean, I think at this point
But
she's so irrelevant. It's just, but
but
I understand your point.
yeah, I have I had TSSC SCI SAP access to various
Yeah.
programs, but not even I never had access to nuclear programs when it
Right.
comes to the nuclear secrets. There's only a handful of people that are actually allowed those documents and to be read in, and those are at the very highest levels of our government. So to when I see TSSC or SEI documents in Biden's hand and they happen to be special access, that's a big freaking deal. That's similar to what Hillary Clinton did. And according to a source within the FBI itself, that basically the SAP program or that top secret document was covering Ukraine and Iran.
See, and I heard that too. And I think that piece of information, I think specifically was released sometime in January, right? Because like I want to say it was like January 14th is when they released that information. Sorry, I'm reading a comment here.
And that's another thing I like about this is we can actually see the comments.
Right. Mike's husband. I like your style, buddy. It's awesome. Stay awesome. No, but I definitely agree with you. The more that I'm looking into this now, the more I'm like, it's very possible they might actually have something on Trump here. But at the same time, we as citizens are never going to be able to like take a look at that evidence for ourselves because of the classification markings. I mean, I'm sure we could go through the motions of the Patriot Act and the Freedom of Information Act and all of that stuff and like file court proceedings and like who has time for that? Like, do you think we'll ever know? Like, it doesn't seem like they have a solid answer as to what Trump's documents pertained to specifically, but they have all sorts of answers for Biden's and what they've pertained to.
Yeah. And so just going actually going down that rabbit hole of Biden with the same sources talking about how now they're actually going into the University of Pennsylvania and actually getting those 1,860 boxes. That's a big freaking deal. Because
right.
So espionage is literally defined as taking pictures, actually possessing top secret documents outside of a SCIF. Mm-hmm. That is considered espionage. When the president himself,
I mean, they've obviously got Biden.
Yeah. So we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Hunter Biden had access and was able to copy and paste sensitive, classified information into an email sent to Burisma. We can prove that. We can also prove that there's 15 of such emails with different information about different countries, all leading back to Ukraine.
Right.
So we can prove
and
that.
I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by that at all. A while back, someone sent me a link to a website that had all of Hunter Biden's emails, like over 10,000 of them. And you could go through and read them. And I went through and I read like a good chunk. Like, I want to say probably I went through and glanced over at least 120 of them. And it was interesting. It was,
so
to say the
literally,
least, it was interesting.
Literally 1%.
Yeah, not even.
Just doing quick math in my head, you said 10,000.
Yeah, there's like 10,000 of them. I went through about 100, and then I remember going back a week later, and the website had been taken down. So I don't know if somebody put something else back up. I know. I should have just stuck it out and read all 10,000, but and I didn't even read them all word for word. I literally just like looked.
There's literally no way
to. Some of them weren't pertinent. Yeah, no, there isn't. I was hoping to find something to make like some sort of TikTok about, but most of what I saw was just like,
I think the more interesting stuff is in the text messages.
You think so? Mm-hmm. I haven't seen the text messages.
So
I'd be intrigued.
Congress is going through the GOP is going through the text messages right now.
Right. Well, and every single member of Congress a couple months ago was sent copies of the evidence for his crimes. So I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah, and then if you want to see the contents of Hunter Biden's laptops, you can actually go into the congressional record now.
Oh, good.
Because Matt Gaetz actually submitted those to the congressional record. So you can't
look now. Not right now, but later.
But supposedly you can actually get the entire contents of.
Nice.
But there's not a whole lot of people on tonight, but that's.
No, that's all right.
They'll see this later,
okay. And yeah.
I know this is not how you normally do it. We're Clapper being pot in politics.
Yeah.
You can't really do that kind of stuff on this platform, but Mickey,
He says, but do we want to?
you know, do we really
I
want
love it.
to see what's on there? Probably not.
No, but I
But
think it's like I was talking about last night when so the other night I talked about how the body cam footage for Tyree Nichols was being released and that I hadn't watched it because I wasn't sure if I wanted to see something like that. But then I remember last night I was talking about how I did end up watching it and it was just horrific and horrendous. And like it was, I think this is the exact same thing. It's like we don't want to look, but I think eventually curiosity is going to get the best of us, and maybe we'll be better for looking in the end. Maybe we won't, but at least we'll know the truth.
yeah, and
I just,
I'm glad you touched on the Tyree Nichols thing because I jumped off too early and I was kind of frustrated.
I knew you would probably want to talk about it tonight too, so I was like, oh well, I'll try and tie it in.
Yeah,
So let's talk about it, dude.
well,
What did you
and
think
I
of
know.
the motive?
Well, did you hear about the guy sending a text message to his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend?
Mm-hmm. With a picture, with a picture of Tyree.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the problem that I'm having with this entire situation, and I apologize in advance if I get heated about this because this irks me to no end. The fact that the liberal media can take this entire situation, call it police brutality, which, yes, in a sense, it is absolute police brutality, but these men, these police officers, were absolute vile, evil human beings, no matter what race they were. And the fact that they're trying to turn this into a white supremacist thing, saying this happened because of white supremacy, or that police brutality is racism in its purest form. That's what Maxine Waters said the other day in an interview. It irks me to no end because this is not about race at all. It's not about race.
It was all about revenge.
Exactly. And I find it so appalling and so disrespectful to Tyree's family that you are going to call this a racist act.
And let's just be blunt.
And
And I've said multiple times, going all the way back to the George Floyd thing. You know what? We have to condemn police brutality when it presents its ugly head, and I've been consistent about that. There are some things
yeah,
that I have a problem with the George Floyd thing. I'm not going to get into that. That's not even
I
relevant
do
right
too.
now.
Yeah.
But this situation, you had a kid. I say kid, he's 29 years old, 28, 29 years old,
Not
who
much younger than us.
literally was targeted on purpose, who was killed or beaten so badly that he died. And it happened less than 80 feet from his home. They jerked him out of his vehicle. He knew where he was. They hit him once. He took off running for his health, for his house. I watched the whole camera from the top down, the body cameras. I watched at multiple angles, and the only thing that they didn't do is shoot him.
Yeah.
Why? Because they wanted to make him suffer even more. And in fact, there's 2 minutes of the police officer's footage that got muted.
Interesting.
And it was
Interesting. So I haven't seen the body cam footage. I just found the surveillance footage from the street, right?
Yep. So the body cam.
So I'm gonna have to go and watch that.
So one of the body cam footages goes all the way through it, and then it cuts off right at the end. The other body cams catch the whole incident, and Tyree is literally still in his vehicle when it starts out, and he's like, "Okay, why did you pull me over?" They didn't give him a reason. They told him to get out of his vehicle. And he's like, "Well, why did you pull me over? Just give me that. I'll listen. Just give me why you pulled me over." And they reached into his vehicle and yanked him out. Well, I wouldn't get out of a vehicle if I was told you need to get out of the vehicle without telling me why they stopped me or anything like that. There's no way in hell.
Absolutely not.
So when you start seeing all of this footage, and then right after that happens, 2 minutes is cut of the audio is cut out, and then it starts up, and you hear all the rest of it. What do those 2 minutes say? What is going on in those 2 minutes? Why were they cut? Why wasn't there audio? There's only one reason there's no audio. It's incriminating.
Yeah.
He was 80
Well,
feet from
the
his
interesting.
door, and the last thing that he said is, "I want my mommy," as he's laying there bleeding out on the ground. That's bullshit. And there's no excuse for it.
Really can't. There isn't. There absolutely isn't. So I guess Tyree was dating the one officer, Demetrius. I don't remember his last name, but he's the one who orchestrated this. And remember, the other day we were speculating as to whether or not this was a hit, and we were right, straight up a hit. And so I guess Tyree was dating Demetrius's ex. Okay, so like they worked together, and I guess they had a thing. And Demetrius didn't like that. So he orchestrated this whole thing and sent the text message with a picture of Tyree after they beat him up to his ex.
And he sent it from Tyree's phone.
From Tyree's phone. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put together a true crime video on this.
Yeah,
I really think I could probably put together a good one for YouTube.
But the thing that bothers me is a brazenness, because they know, and all of these cops.
They had to have known they were going to get caught.
It wasn't getting caught for them. That's the thing. If you're that brazen about it, they were begging to get caught. They knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because right away, that video went viral of him getting beat down. The original video went viral. Yeah. Then BLM moved in. Then it gave the cops, they didn't really care if they got caught. It gave them a reason to do this to more people. Because now they're violent protesters. Now the citizens are going to beg us for our help.
Yeah.
So they took an innocent life just to give them a reason for existence. That's what the Scorpion team was. They are a tactical unit specifically deployed for riot reasons. They created the crime so they could be deployed.
Of course. Of course.
And that's the worst part of it.
It always works. Yeah. Well, and I don't know what to
Yeah,
believe out of Memphis either. Like some people say that there's protests and rioting in the streets, but then other places people say that there aren't, and I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's CNN. You know what? You're gonna hear me say a couple words that I never say, and that is that Don Lemon actually did a very good interview with the mother.
Interesting.
I liked
I'll have
the
to check it
interview
out.
until he starts injecting. Well, my mother's in town right now. When he started
What does
injecting
his
himself,
mother have to do with anything?
exactly. When he started injecting himself into the conversation, when the his mother and father literally just lost their youngest boy.
And you're gonna
It's
sit here and
just,
be like, "Oh, my mom's in town right now." What the fuck?
yeah, nobody really cares. But
Nobody would care. Why would you care about about his dad? It's about Tyree. That's oh my god,
but
dude.
I mean the
Or
interview.
mom, or whoever is in town.
I really like the interview, and I am not a Don Lemon fan, but that was
Yeah.
probably one of the best interviews. Yes, you have your attorney that's with the family that has to inject his 2 cents, and it's all about race and this and that. I don't care about what that guy said, but the mother, just going through this horrific event, literally said, "I feel sorry for these police officers. I feel sorry for each one of them and their families. They brought shame upon their family. They brought shame upon the black community. To have that much grace."
I absolutely feel that. There was a time in my life where I would have probably said the same thing. But if you asked me now, I would probably be no. No, they don't deserve my forgiveness. They don't deserve my time. They don't even deserve the rent free space in my freaking head. That, like, no. But I don't know. I don't know. Is there a way to get your compassion back after the world has fucked you raw dog style?
Yeah,
there, I don't think there is. The world is so screwed up right now. The majority of us are in fight or flight mode because of narcissist world leaders, and those of us who aren't are Stockholmed.
yeah.
Like, you can't make this shit up.
So you
You
know what?
literally can't.
Because I really like that interview, I'm gonna do something that I can't do over in Clapper.
Do it. Pull it up. I don't know what Tyree's dad said, Nikki. Shane might. I can pull it up on my phone now.
Oh shoot, I don't have it set up properly. But
Oh no.
okay, so I
So,
have
according to
to.
localmemphis.com, one of the quotes that Tyree's dad is being quoted as saying, his name's Rodney. He says, "Losing a son is the hardest thing I've ever done." Um, I can't imagine losing a child. I really can't. Let's see.
Okay, so I'm.
This is very difficult. To stand up here every day and try and put on this face is difficult, but we have to do it. Wells, I guess, also addressed rumors about his son having a relationship with one of the officer's exes at FedEx where Tyree worked. He called them untruthful.
Okay, hold on a second.
So there's that as well.
Okay, can you hear this?
Mm-mm.
Can
No,
you hear this?
I can't. No. Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. But
Oh, boo. Oh, well. We tried.
yeah,
Oh, well. It's okay.
so yeah, what I'll do is I will download a copy of that video and I will post it. We'll stream it through here, wherever. But
Yeah.
it's definitely anybody who like. Normally, I don't promote anything CNN, but this one video is so well worth it. It's 27 minutes and 30 seconds long. Watch the whole thing.
Right.
That is, I mean, honestly, I hate CNN with every bone in my body. But, yeah.
Yeah. Hang on. Sorry. I'm listening. Mickey just said something about Tyree's dad saying that he wants all the officers dead. So I'm just looking to see where that's at.
Yeah. And I know people are probably not a whole lot interested in what we're doing tonight, but it's still a
That's
good thing to
okay.
really pay attention to what's going on because this is coming to a city near you. And
Right.
I gotta love your daughter. I'm gonna love on your daughter a little bit because she sent me that video where people were talking about attacking us.
Oh my gosh, it was the funniest thing. I'm like just listening to the live, all of a sudden it stops. She's got my phone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, who did she send this to? She sent it to like 5 people, and you were one of them. And they were talking about this case, Tyree Nichols and police brutality, and they were making a very good case for the like not for the liberal aspect, but of understanding the liberal aspect because it doesn't make sense. You've got people in Atlanta that are protesting this big police officer complex, this big training facility and whatnot. Yet you're advocating for them to have better training and more extensive training. But then they're like, well, they don't need offensive training or defensive training. They need people training. And it's almost as if they want every single police officer to be a freaking psychiatrist when they go out into the field to protect the world. Like, why? How? You can give them person to person training, mental health training on how to handle people, how to like approach people, mentally ill people, homeless people, all sorts of people. You can give that people to people thing. But at the end of the day, when a police officer is just evil to their core, there you can't fix that. You can't fix that. And you've got these 18-year-olds coming in off the street, no training, given 6 to 8 months of training and thrown out there. You're going to get the bad in with the good.
And one of the
And that was
individuals
something they were talking
on the live said, I've been in Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, out in Provo, Utah, Salt Lake City, and we don't see this. Why? because it's called respect. We're taught respect at a
Yep,
very young age. Respect
exactly.
authority. Yeah, out here we have a city cop. You know what he does? He drives around the block, and then if your house isn't painted, he goes and puts a note on your door. You need to paint your house, or it's a $75 fine. I tell him toodaloo, get off our
Right.
property, and he leaves and goes, gets in his nice warm car, drives around, comes back a couple days later, posts a note on our door. You need to paint your house. 40 below zero. Stop harassing us. But
Right.
we know what he's doing, and we're aware of what his job is. We don't give him crap. He just likes to give us crap. If we have an emergency that we need to deal with, we don't call a city cop. The city cop is only there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We call the county sheriff, who has an office literally 2 blocks from our house.
Right.
Tom McDonald.
Well, and that's the thing a lot of people need to know is like your sheriff is your friend. Your sheriff is an elected official, and they're your friend.
Yeah, Tom McDonald literally said it best. The system is meant to
Yep.
destroy us.
Mhm. Exactly.
So,
I'm I'm looking for that, Mickey. I'm not seeing it, but I will look for that, and we will talk about it. It might not be tonight, but we will talk about it.
good evening, Donna. Glad to see you. But yeah, I mean, it's divide and conquer. It's a way that the system's designed, and the sooner we see through it, the
Mhm.
better off we are.
I agree. I agree completely. I think a lot of people are starting to see through the system, though, and I hate to say it, dare I say it on Facebook, but I think a lot of what Russia is doing has a lot to do with that. Um, but not in support of Russia necessarily, but
Vladimir
they're
Putin
exposing.
is a nasty dictator.
Hmm.
Vladimir Putin is a nasty dictator.
I agree wholeheartedly, but
He
I
is
think
definitely
that
one of
at
the
the
most
end
brutal
of the day,
people alive.
right. But I think at the end of the day, he wants things to stay the way that they are and not have a bunch of World Economic Forum psychos making decisions for everybody when they have no
So,
right to be.
did you hear that the World Economic Forum is on the verge of collapse?
Oh, I did see that article. That specifically is coming from Russian media. That's what they're telling their citizens.
But if you look,
Basically saying they've got them by the balls.
well, if you actually look at their funding mechanism, the World Economic Forum has lost over $1 billion in funding over the last 3 years.
And what also happened in the last 3 years?
Well,
Give me a C, C, give me an O, O, give me a V.
you know,
Oh my God, I'm not shocked by that at all. But you know what else is super interesting though is all the pharmaceutical companies that these big wigs supposedly are in bed with and all this BS made record profits. So how are these people losing money?
don't know.
I want to
But
look at that money trail.
here's the funny part. So there is a new group of neoliberals that is set
Oh
to
boy.
take over if the World Economic Forum goes under. And they are worse than the World Economic Forum. They're worse than the World Economic Forum. And these people mean business. The World Economic Forum is a bunch
It
of
never ends.
evil. You can never get rid of evil. It just changes face and moves forward.
Yeah, I know.
But World Economic Forum does not have a way to actually implement police powers with their members alone. They have to go to each individual member state to do so. The new group that's
Right.
coming up that takes over will have its own police
Right.
force that all of these governments all around the world will donate police to or will donate troops to.
Yeah. So
That
Donna,
doesn't
I had
scare you.
heard that too. Rodney Wells, Tyree's dad, says that it's not true, but I don't know. The officer Demetrius sent her a photo of Tyree from his own phone, so I tend to believe it's true. That they were like seeing each other and working because they worked together.
Yeah, they could have been friends from work. Who knows?
Right.
But the romantic
Maybe this is just
relationship, we don't know. Nobody does.
Right. Yeah, no, we don't know for sure. I mean, unless she were to come out publicly and be like, "Yeah, hey, we were in a relationship." But I don't think she's going to do that.
If she comes out at all, it'll be at the trial.
Yeah.
Do you know
This
Chuck?
poor woman. Huh?
Do you know Chuck Manley?
Chuck Manley? No.
But yeah, there's so much.
What's up, Chuck? That sounded weird. I'm sorry.
It's Pale.
Oh, Pale! What up? Pale Rider!
Ah, yeah. I was like, okay, I didn't really figure that one out until you said that.
Pale Rider! What up, bro?
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on. What all did you have in your notes? Because we did not go over that at all.
So, well, I just kind of wrote stuff down as to like when we were talking on the phone earlier of like what you wanted to talk about tonight and stuff. And I just kind of wrote things in relation to it. So we've talked about the Trump and Biden documents already. And we've kind of touched on Tyree Nichols. And then I kind of wanted to bring up, since we're talking about Russia and the World Economic Forum and everything, I keep hearing reports that there's 2 ships, one off the East Coast, one off the West Coast, and that they have not moved from Russia. So and this is just reports that I'm seeing on social media as well as TikTok videos, but
Let me clear up a lot of confusion about these warships. We have literally had Russian ships on our coastal waters, or just outside the international zone, which is 10 miles out from our coast. We have literally had ships on both sides of our country for decades.
Mm-hmm.
This is when people talk about Russian ships. We've literally had ships on both sides of our country for decades, going all the way back to before the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right.
So when people talk about a Russian ship anymore, I don't worry about it, unless they are repositioning and putting an aircraft carrier or something that has strike capabilities within that 10-mile or just outside that 10-mile zone. Not a people should not be as concerned as they are. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I just wanted to bring it up to see like what your thoughts on it were, mostly because like one, I trust you. And two, I don't want to be over here like because like I know my brain, when it goes on a thought process, that train is gone, okay? And it will go and dig until it cannot go anymore. So of course, me still hearing all of these reports that Russian ships are off our coasts, skirting our international waters, my brain is that thought train just kept going, and I'm like, nope, come back. Like,
Most
let's
of my
rationalize this.
most of my train of thoughts usually end up boarding at the station, and they just keep boarding at the station.
Right.
But
That's
no,
funny.
when it comes to Russian intelligence, Russian military ships and stuff like that, the two ships, one's on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast, monitors Fort Meade, Quantico, Virginia, and the air launch in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Those are the three places it monitors. And on the West Coast, you have the Naval Yard in up near Seattle. You have San Diego and another base along that coast too. But yeah,
Yeah.
those are the main places that they monitor. They're spy ships. They've literally been there for ever and a day. They will resupply, they'll leave, resupply, come back, but they're all generally in the same area, and they run a 20-mile spread. So,
Right. Makes sense. It makes sense.
for them to cross
Puts
in
me
that, for if they were to cross 2 miles inside the international boundaries, that's an active declaration of war. And to my
right.
knowledge, they have not done that. So,
All right. All right. Ooh, did you hear back from your friend on that one video?
yes. And she said it's
Oh
inaccurate.
boy.
She said that Russia, and I tend to agree with her, that the U.S. entered World War II pretty late. The U.S. did.
Right.
The Russians stopped the German advance across Eurasia. They stopped him at Leningrad and then pushed him back.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Leningrad, Stalingrad, whoever. If people pay attention, sorry, they're the same name for the same city, or different names for the same city. But
Right.
yeah, so they pushed. Russia pushed the Germans back, and then the Americans came in and smashed the other side. So
Right.
she said it was a very accurate translation.
Well, that's good. That's also terrifying. So for those of you watching, I came across a video today and it's about 5 minutes long, and it's a man on TikTok. He's talking about this video from some Russian political show that he found, and they were talking about the weakness of basically us and our leadership, talking about how like Russia should have no issue crossing the big pond and attacking us if we needed to, all in reference to NATO and to them assisting Ukraine. Because at this point, with Canada, Germany, and the United States having sent arms, NATO's involved. Pretty blatant at this point. Especially with Poland and all of that jazz being involved for a while already too. Like this is World War III. We're in it. It's happening, guys. It's happening. But this Russian media. What were you saying? Sorry.
We've been in a soft World War III since 2012 with the invasion of Crimea.
Right. Ay.
And as for what the Americans or what the Russians know and the Americans know, anytime that Russia wants to bring that fight here, it'll be a very, very, very long, protracted war that they will not win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First of all, getting across the Bering Strait, which is between Murmansk and Alaska, be very, very deadly for them.
Yep.
It's a 90-mile stretch where the rods of God can really do a lot of damage.
Yeah. What?
Did I say rods of God? We don't have those. That's just a conspiracy theory.
That's just a conspiracy theory. No.
I mean, we've only launched military satellites for the last 75 years into the sky. But the sky, isn't Earth like flat?
Oh, don't turn Q on me now.
Oh, I won't. I'm literally just everybody that brings up those arguments.
None of them make sense. They don't make sense to me at all.
If you send it through Messenger to the Patriot News Network, we can get that video. But yeah, it's bad. Like, I've heard every argument. So there's one guy, the Earth's flat, so we have no sky. It's just we're literally in a dome. And I was like, okay, then what happened?
The firmament. That's what it's called, the firmament. They call it the firmament.
I said, so when rockets go up, they come.
Well, and they're convinced that it exists because of NASA documents that refer to something called the firmament that they did testing on or whatever to see what light can go through the firmament. What is the firmament made of? Like all of this stuff there.
As somebody who has done a halo jump, which is a 60,000 plus jump of an airplane, you can see the curvature of the Earth. Okay.
Right. You can even see it in a regular airplane at 36,000 feet. Like no.
Yeah, when you're jumping from 60,000 feet out of a perfectly working plane, you can see the curvature of the Earth. You can see the planet. You can see the stars very, very well. So, yeah. But I know we had a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. And now it's just we're kind of rambling. And I know you're getting tired.
Oh, it's all right. Oh, last thing that we should talk about. is the Pelosi Act. They literally, guys, oh my God, it's great. They literally have a act called the Pelosi Act, and it's the Preventing Elected Leaders from, Owning Securities and Investments Act. Pelosi. And it's glorious, in my humble opinion. It prevents lobbying, basically. Like, lobbyists can, like, it's going to prevent lobbyists from being able to petition congressmen and women. And it's going to prevent U.S. Congress from being able to basically do insider trading. Like, I'm dying for this to pass. And I love the name. It's so wonderful. What's that?
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Donna. I have to. So. Here.
Oh, I'm seeing it.
She's literally talking about how she's. So a rough translation is she's talking about how she's outside these buildings and she's sitting there clicking on it. That was amazing.
So show. Donna, you're wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh.
Wrong background, absolutely.
We're watching a freaking movie, guys. Oh my god.
I just
wrong background is right. Oh my god.
When I saw that, so I'm gonna post that to Facebook.
Do it. TikTok. Post it to your TikTok too.
That was an amazing video.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I love the fact that Facebook actually on an Android, so it actually allows you to download videos. iPhone, you can't.
Yeah. All right.
But it's been a pleasure tonight. I had a lot of fun. I know there's not a whole lot of people on right now, but if you guys can share this, and I would like to have Haley back on to dive into other subjects. But until next time, as always, you guys have a pen and a microphone. It's time to use them. The silent majority can no longer stay silent. God bless you guys. God bless the United States of America. And we'll see you next time.